Series, class number 1. It's July 28th, 2014. We got Beth, Joshua, Peter, and myself. We are in Oakland today. Yes, Peter?
So as far as the scheduling the sessions goes, you said 2 per month. And isn't the last one of the workshops the end of October, or is it going through November?
The last date is actually in here, is October 22nd.
Okay. So that gives us August, September, and October, which is 3 months to schedule the 8 calls.
Right, good, because I probably, there's probably planned into that the 3 weeks beyond that.
Okay.
So I'll have a different date for, unless you all want to get them done by October 22nd, which is fine as well. But I'll create a new date for that.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, that's really lovely to have like a follow-up.
Right.
That's so nice.
Part of me actually kind of likes the last workshop for it to kind of be done.
Right.
There's something kind of nice about that. But you're right. The way we've scheduled it out means it's not a full. It's not a full 4 months.
And if we were to be able to like call you and schedule all of them in advance, would that be possible, or just do it every month as it becomes available online?
You can schedule out 45 days ahead of time. I don't recommend you try and do that with me because I'd have to reschedule so many of them. My life is just. I wish I had like office hours Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to make that really easy, but I just don't. So it actually ends up not being useful for everybody to schedule me out 4 months.
That's actually something that I would be interested in discussing too. Is it seems sort of simple, but like scheduling, like working scheduling, that's been a big thing for me. So
yeah.
It's like how and when, like what are some examples of like how one can schedule time to do that and do the other things. You know?
Right.
Because it sounds like you've got fairly a lot of flexibility in there, and I imagine you'll have like a day that doesn't show up that people are scheduling for you, so you can have that day.
Right.
But you also looks like you have like at least like 4 or 5 days available times in there.
Right. And probably too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Although I like to look available to the people who are looking at my schedule. On the other hand, someone else will say, no, you should look unavailable, and that looks more like you're in more demand.
Yeah.
I find that kind of thing, unless you're truly like you're Carl and you really don't have appointments until next year. I'll tell you just 2 things that I personally do, and it really came into play when I started using an online scheduler, because you have to think ahead about what appointments you're going to put out there as available. I look at my week and I say, what's my day off? And I put that in my Outlook, because that's what I use for my calendar. No, actually I use iCalendar now. But and then I know not to put any appointments on that day. It's not always Friday. Yeah. It's different days of the week. And every once in a while I'll make sure it's 2 days, just so I'm not. And if it's like a Labor Day weekend, not working for 3 days. Yeah. Those are all days off. Then the other thing I schedule is 1 or 2 no client days for pure admin. Personally, for admin, I find I get much more effective rather than like, oh, I have an appointment in the morning and I have 1 in the afternoon, so I have 2 hours in the middle for admin. For me, I find that I plow through it better on a day that's dedicated to it than I do than, saying I'll see clients on any day of the week and I'll do it in between the sessions. So those are 2 things that I've adapted. But when it comes to scheduling, as kind of my message in everything I teach, right, is what's right for you. Do it that way for a while, and then you amend it as you go, oh my God, I totally can't, I've got to make it Tuesdays and Wednesdays I see clients. It's the only way it works for me. Yeah. So
cool, thank you.
That's beyond that, well, that's going to be part of my check-in. I'm going to role model check-in today. Before I do that, I just want to say some things. Hello! Yay! Hello! So it's all right, your back is going to be to that, but that's fine.
It's okay. As long as you're part of the circle.
As long as I can be seen, which is fine. I just want to remind us the agreement we came to about some things, just so that you're not surprised, or if we want to change it, which is, we can be very adaptable here. But these workshops, we agreed that what we really wanted was for mostly ecology and reframing, not so much for nuts and bolts. Mostly because the nuts and bolts you need are getting more and more personal to each one of you. Having said that, I do have a few topics given your emails that I'm planning as nuts and bolts topics for the group. Want to let you know, and you get to agree to it or not agree to it, or say, wait a second, you don't have whatchamacallit. Some of these will end up being stuff that some of you know, but hopefully they'll all be stuff that are different enough that it'll be useful. Strong requests for marketing, more on marketing, and not so much the airy-fairy principles of marketing, but specifically how do you choose how you market for your services, for your interests, for the kind of networks you have, for what you like to do, which is really the most important thing when it comes to marketing. Planning has been a generalized, with the same kind of emphasis, specific to the things you've got going on. And then the third one, which we did a lot of kind of around the edges, but never really beamed in on, is the spirituality and true north work. How to kind of leave this this series. I had a conversation with a client, a potential client today. It wasn't about how everything will be perfect once you learn how to do business. It's how to have a way of staying in alignment or getting back in alignment and knowing what's in alignment so that you can feel good as you ride the highs and lows. Yeah? So that was the third thing. Otherwise, we're going to be doing basically ecology, change work, that kind of stuff. And then because there's so many one-on-one coaching sessions, I really recommend, some of you used the three that we had in the last one more for ecology than for nuts and bolts, which is understandable because it's one-on-one. You might want to think about switching that a little bit. And because, again, some of the stuff that Beth wanted, I just know is not for these guys, and with some, back and forth. So that might be the place to do some of the nuts and bolts. And nothing's set in stone. But if there's specific things you need to know that are not in those three categories, I know that Josh and I last time did a lot of brainstorming about specific programs and implementing them. So it was really nuts and bolts, and it was really specific to you. How does that generally sound?
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would love
Good.
to hear sometimes maybe something will come up in class and you're like,
Right.
you know what, that's great for the one-on-one, some guidance around that.
Totally.
And helping-
Yeah.
Because I'm cool with that.
Absolutely. And because we're going to have the 8 sessions and because, there'll be more connection, I'll have a better sense of where you guys are at any given time, and there might be it's not that we didn't have continuity last time, but even more continuity this time. Partnering plan. You all into partnering?
Yeah.
I only ended up doing it with Beth the last time, and then completely forgot about it the rest of the time. I would like to do it,
Yeah.
and I would like to do it.
Right. Well, now that we're all in the Facebook group, and all of us are more or less Facebook people, group posts automatically go to your emails,
Right.
particularly if you set your notifications that way. But I can do reminders about that. This was what I was thinking would be the best. There are basically 2 ways to do this since we have an uneven group number of people, and I don't want to participate in the partnering, which is basically 2 weeks on, 1 week off. So you 2 this week, you 2 this week, you 2 the next week, you 2 the 3rd week, you 2 the 4th week, da-da-da. So kind of a 2 week on, 2 week off thing. And I don't know the people who did it, how you did it, whether you met for 2 different hours so that there could be a focus on each person, or 1 hour and you gave a half hour to each.
It's about 1 hour each.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
I
really-
failed at partnering all through the last time,
You failed.
so I don't know what that means for what we're up to.
Do you want to do it?
Mm-hmm. there's a big part of me that says no, and there's another part of me that says maybe I should check it out.
Mhm.
And then my experience at home is like trying to make it happen was just like,
Right. And you really value it.
I value it.
Yeah,
I love
I
partnership. and-
very much value partnering. Particularly when I know, I mean, every once in a while in a large enough program I've been in, like, you're on a phone with someone like, oh, God, I can't believe I've got to do an hour with this person. But this is a pretty reliable group of people you'll have valuable conversations with, and who actually know your situation, so you can cut through a lot of the preliminaries pretty quickly. Here's what I'd like to recommend. With a lot of, because I don't want to have to make it happen for 4 months. I really want you guys to take responsibility for this. But what I would like to do is for the first 3 weeks, I'll do a lot of prompts. Let's see what happens for the first 3 weeks. If that 2 weeks on, 1 week off thing works, you find it valuable, and then we'll check in about this at the next workshop.
Okay.
Does that sound like a deal?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's it.
Can I ask you a question about the Facebook group?
This is all, now we're in the questions, comments, or suggestions at the beginning.
Perfect. Did you send us an invite to the Facebook group yet, or no?
Yes.
Okay, so
All 3 of you got invites.
I will look for it. Do you know which email you used?
I
That's
probably
the one.
used the Gmail, but I don't know.
Okay, I'll look. I do get all notifications, but I hide them so they don't.
Well, you know, I didn't send it to an email. I sent it to
I didn't read it.
you, the Facebook.
Oh, right. You
Right,
invited
you
me from within Facebook. So, you
So
probably,
it'll go to whatever email box
Yeah,
your Facebook
got it.
stuff goes to.
I've
Yeah,
been
this isn't
traveling,
like
so-
Google. Yeah. That makes sense? Okay. So yes, you have to accept the invitation to get it and on it. Joshua already has. He did a woohoo. It was a woohoo. And I actually posted a few things in there, just the dates
Oh.
and the scheduling link for making appointments, which I would like you all to get started on, because
I opened it. I looked at it.
interesting while I've been on the road or, I was in
Yeah.
San Antonio, I'm like, hi Facebook, bye Facebook. I'm like, I didn't really want to hang out there.
Yeah, that's
Rather,
fine.
like walk around the hot city.
fair enough.
I will say that I've gone 1 week. Just,
Oh, one of those 3?
one of the, not one of the.
I mean, one of the 5 workshops.
No. Just as far as calls are concerned, I'll be gone 1 week.
Oh,
for Burning Man.
schedule around it.
Schedule around it.
Yeah, no big deal.
And maybe we can just, we can chatty on the Facebook group in terms of, hey, what do you want to do?
Yep.
I pull a miracle out of me, but I'm gonna be at Burning Man. I
Oh,
don't know if that
good.
happens.
You guys can have a partnering session together at Burning Man, like not.
Go roll around the sand. I'll wait till you come over here.
Well, there's a flaming octopus card right here.
And there's no reason why. I mean, the partnering thing works as long as it works for you. There's no reason not to say, let's just take that week off from partnering.
Sure.
2 of the people are going to be essentially on vacation, right? So
And I feel a little dense about the 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So since there's 3 of us, so like 1 week it's the next week it's the next week it's and then
Yeah.
nothing like that.
no, I was going to say 2 weeks on, 1 week off.
So how would that work? I mean,
One
one
Just-
week.
1 week, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, 3-week cycles.
So that way you and I talk, I and Josh talks, but then you have that time off. And you
Oh,
and Josh
I
talk,
see.
and I have the time
So
off,
one,
and then-
you might be having 2 partner conversations at any given.
No, you
No,
have
no,
one
no,
par-
no.
one partner
2
conversation.
weeks in a row, you'll have conversations, and then you'll have a week off.
Okay.
So week 1 it's me, but Josh is out. Week 2 it's us, but you're out.
I
Week 3
see.
it's you 2, but
From your perspective, it's simply this week I'm talking to Peter, next week I'm talking to Josh, this week I'm talking to no one, and then it starts over.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cute.
Okay, other questions or anything of that from the beginning stage
Are you going to be sending invoices for this is kind of random.
Yes,
Invoices for the payments?
on the dates?
Okay.
And if you anticipate it, go ahead. And if you want to pay me early, go
I
ahead.
did give you my credit card information on the form, so
Yes.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
auto bill that or.
Well, and because you guys paid through PayPal, there is a way for me to grab money from you guys if I really had to, but invoices are nice.
Yeah, but
They're polite. And by the way, I've never set it up this way. Maybe this will be my opportunity to see. But there's a way, like if you have someone for in a 6-month program and you want them automatically billed, PayPal can set that up.
I do that.
So it just gets sent out.
I pay $20 a month.
Yeah. I did. Okay, not free. Not going to do it for now because I don't do it enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard. Although I'm starting to get more, which will be part of my check-in. Now we're not going to do check-ins right now. Questions, suggestions, comments? Okay.
And just so I can have a big picture overview, I know we're doing the 8 one-on-one sessions total, and we have how many in person?
5.
5 in person. Okay.
And the email coaching,
And the group calls, that
which are the
Oh, yeah.
public calls.
They're
But yeah,
public, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I really appreciate the one-on-one email reflection back. That's super helpful. Well, I put in my planning and
Got it.
you emailed me back. And
Oh, good.
I'm
Yeah.
still thinking about what you asked
Oh,
me.
good.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't have answers.
That means it was a good question.
She's making me think.
Yeah. No, you guys I could tell you did good work. I was astonished. You all responded to me in 24 hours, and they were really thorough. I mean, they weren't just dash-offs.
Well, I saw what you guys did, and I'm in the San Antonio one. I better answer.
We were sitting on the ceremony site, like contemplating. Like, we have to go set up this thing. I guess we should probably do it now because there's no way we're going to be able to get to them at any other point.
Oh,
So
good for you.
Josh started it, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'll do it. And I did it. It's like, we're sitting in like this porch area, like sending emails on the phone. So.
And by the way, I do apologize for, I mean, I think mostly you guys experience me as someone who plans ahead, isn't last minute, blah, blah, blah. But I did have that vacation in that really inopportune spot. If I had this to do ever again, I would have started us a week later. So I was kind of crunchifying to get stuff out to you before or after the vacation. And there are things that just did not get done before the vacation. Though, and my to-do list now is extraordinary.
Speaking of which,
Okay.
big dudes.
Exhibit A, where is my world to-do list? That's a little odd, I have to say. Oh, there it is. This is my current to-do list.
Oh,
This is my to-do list organization. If you want to see my very sophisticated phone app. It's leftover flyers. Okay, so before we get into introductions, which are going to be a little lengthier to get today, and not introductions, but sharing, and you got a little bulb here if you want to use it. Let's do the heart of business diet. Let's do that first. And we've got 2 twos. We know how to do it.
Yeah.
Let's split you guys up just for now. You'll obviously be doing a lot of stuff down the road, but we'll just do it right here. Okay.
We should do what?
I'll be your business first.
Okay.
Or the heart of your business first.
Part of the business.
Part of your business thinks your shirt is rocking.
Well, the last time we talked, you seemed to want to be a little showy. I still don't know what that means.
I'm feeling very cheerful. Almost manic. Like edging into a little overstimulated. It's really interesting. I'm overstimulated, but looking at you in the eyes is too intense. I keep on looking away because it's like it's almost too much for me to really connect with you. Yeah, I'd overall say I'm doing well, life is good, and something about this experience is overstimulating.
Yeah.
Or a little more intense than is optimal.
When I talk about this, how does it relate? I've been in this space where all I can do is think. I can't really so much of my action is going toward dealing with the ceremony stuff that like I've been in this space of when do I have time to do X, Y, and Z? Like when is I gonna get done? It feels to me very much like there's an ungroundedness to not being able to take action so much.
Yeah. So before I respond to that, can you just say what this is like right now in the constellation?
Yeah.
Because you're representing yourself in the constellation.
Yeah, it feels fine to me. Fine. That sounds so boring. Like, there's an aspect to it that is like, I wish there was something other than fine going on. Like, there's not like, yeah, you know, or it's just like.
How do you react to this news from this one?
It's a little concerning. Like, oh, what do I need to do about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I was saying it, I'm realizing now it's like I didn't want to worry you. Although I know it's my job to be honest, regardless of the consequences of that kind of thing. But it's not.
Want to worry me.
What?
You said you did want to worry
Did
me?
not.
Oh, did not want to.
Didn't want to worry you. And it certainly it was like I was a little worried in a sense of, oh, is he going to hear me like making him wrong about something? It's not. It's definitely. It's just there's. It's like it feels internal, and I don't know why. It's driving me nuts. We got to change positions. I don't know why.
Like, are we changing roles?
No. We're in the same roles.
Is that position better for you?
This is not. It's still not the right position, but that was the wrong position, and I don't know why. And do you have a feeling?
This feels a little better to me. Like
Yeah.
if I'm walking.
Yeah. Can we just go back to a compare and contrast? Because I think I have a sense of it. Yeah, I got it. In that position, I'm a little bit bigger than you. In this position, I'm a little bit smaller than you. And that feels better. Like, I don't want this to be heard the wrong way because I don't want it to feed into what you're dealing with and what you described. But this puts you in charge and me in response, rather than me running the show or, you know, the people who talk about being led by the nose by their businesses or by their work or something. And this makes me following your lead. Like if you were doing a traditional male-female dance, I'd be the follower and you'd be the leader. And again, I just have to do everything backwards and in high heels, right? but I'm still following. You guys have already finished?
The first one.
Okay, good. So it's not that I want you to kind of, God damn it, be in charge. It's just, there's like, feels better when you're just a little bit bigger and I'm a little bit smaller. And I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, and I'm over here going, alright, I'm in charge, but like, when do I do what I want to do? Instead of this other thing I want to do.
Right. Right, so to do this fulsomely, we'd probably include the other interests, right? And then this one could be going, that's fine, this one drives me nuts, you know, whatever. So I don't know if you have some friends at some point to do that with. Yeah, I can feel that there are other things I know there always are. I was talking to a client today about how her husband is a very important impact on her business. So there's always other elements, but given that you're feeling them. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's change positions again. Oh, the heart of my business.
There's also, it feels like I'm remembering, like being connected.
You were just having that smiling Buddha look on your face. I was enjoying it a great deal. So I'm waiting.
Yeah, I have a little bit of danciness. There's like a musical quality to the rhythm.
I like the song.
I'll almost like a whistle while you work kind of thing.
I feel like I want
That
that.
kind of, you use the word cheerfulness. I wouldn't use that word. I would use just like
The tribal, the earth connection.
happy looking.
I feel like I don't.
This feels very good to me, and I'm realizing internally,
Sort of other ways
in these interactions, I'm always steeled against bad news. And I'm realizing I have too much of, that's a business thing as well. Yeah.
There's something else going on.
And then when I hear that you're okay and doing well, this sounds pretty good. I'm like, feel some pressure around making it different somehow. There isn't just this kind of, this is great. It's like there's always something else I'm supposed to be doing or something that's supposed to be happening. It's really interesting. It makes me think, well, what would it be like to say that I've arrived? There isn't something out there I have to get to before I arrive.
The way it landed for me was, I said,
Wanting.
like there's always something else I have to be doing. And it's like, there is. You don't have to worry about it.
That's good. That's a very useful word. Thank you. Heart of my business.
Like, of course, there's always something else to be doing if you want. Of course, like,
Exactly what are they
it's
saying?
doing it all.
Or not.
Yeah. But there's that excitement and readiness over here. But there's not any heaviness or anxiousness about it.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All done. Excellent. Whenever you guys are ready, we're done. Don't rush it done.
Yeah, no, that was actually good.
That was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was
Okay. So,
Let me write down some of this real quick.
yeah, go ahead. You need to write something down. I want to thank everyone for using my posters. I have posters all over, and clients often will put their obviously condensing water bottle right on my, and I'm like, it's gonna break rapport if I ask them to put it on a poster. And the first thing you don't want to do to a client is correct them.
I have to do that all the time. Otherwise, I won't be able to work if their bags are right where I need to be standing later.
Somehow that feels different. I would totally understand that. Because the coaster thing is just for me at my table. That's about serving me better.
Yeah.
So.
Tabletop. That was really interesting.
Good. And you guys haven't done it for about 6 weeks or so that's
Yeah.
good. So you can report on that in your sharing. So here's what I want us to do for the. I'm right on time. That's frightening. See how long that lasts.
It's like everybody do laps around the room until
Yeah. So instead of like what's the 1 or 2 minutes I usually say, we're gonna have 5 minutes if you want to use it. Okay. We have a small group, so that means 20 minutes. And the way I want to do it is have somebody else be timekeeper. So, and it can be a different timekeeper each round. And I'm gonna go first because I want to role model what I want you to do. Whoever's going to be timekeeper, got it right there. Give me a 30 seconds heads up.
Okay.
And I may end before then, but 30 seconds heads up. Okay. So the 4 things we're going to do. Don't start me yet. What's the pattern? This is the way I want you to think about it now. What's the pattern of what's been going well? What's the pattern of what's been going not so well? Any insight from the Heart of Business exercise you just did that you want to share, if anything. And then part of the time is going to be insights or questions from the group to you. Okay? So what's the pattern of what's been going well? What's the pattern of, and you don't need to know. It's like, it's not NLP. I know now that I'm in a crash and burn pattern of blah, blah, blah. It's just enough, like, it's just a sense, and I'll role model it for you so you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Start me off. So the pattern of what's been going well is my business is friggin' rocketing. It's ridiculous. I had quite a breakthrough while on vacation, which I worked too hard on, but I got an email from someone who somehow had heard about the business piece, and within probably one consultation and then her first session, which I did while I was on vacation, she agreed without blinking to a $2,000 6-month package. Like I gave her the number and she's like, can we start tomorrow? And I'm like, wait a second, there's something wrong. It doesn't happen like this. That has been a real game changer for me. Just her not blinking at it. Because today I had someone could have done a really nice session for her for $235. She's like, oh, it's too much money. The too much money thing. And then last Friday I had 6 consultations. It was a weird day. I don't usually have 6 consultations. I had 5 sales, including 1 package for $2,500. This is not normal. Hopefully it's the new normal. So things have really shifted. Something's really manifested. Something's really changed. I can say just at the level of, obviously I'm doing repatterning inside, but on the outside it's the niching. Just to let you know, I can tell it's the niching. And 4 of those sales were in areas that had nothing to do with the business, but it's attractive anyway, so it's other issues. So anyway, and it was very sweet. One of them was for an emergency private constellation I did up in Fairfield for a woman who wanted a last-minute constellation before going into recurring cancer treatments. It was super sweet, very nice. So that's the pattern of what's going well. The pattern of what's been going not so well, I have 2 things. One, I was crowing with you about a month ago how I don't attract cranky, victim-y clients. This has suddenly changed. I've had complaints in the last 2 or 3 weeks with unclarity around policies, you're not doing the money right, just you ought to give me a refund for things that I was really straightforward about. And I'm like, this is interesting. So I'm just noticing those 2 feel somehow like systemically linked somehow. So I'm just paying attention to it and working on it. The other one is that is this. This is not going to be sustainable. It's the work level is, and this is classic. I've heard this from other people. I've never personally experienced it, but at the point where you finally figure out your business does this thing, and then you find your systems are not manageable. So either I'm going to have to create some new systems, or I'm going to have to or start hiring somebody. Not going to worry about that for right now. I'm just going to plow through. But that's this. I'm just working dawn till dusk every day, trying to get more things off my list. So that's the other pattern. Any insight from this? Not so much. Just it's hard to let the heart of my business be fine. And I'm very defensive about being worried. I had a few heart of business constellations in the group last year with Carolyn, in which my part of my business was fundamentally didn't feel safe with me. That was extremely upsetting to me. And now I'm like very nervous. I hope you're okay. So that's it. Any questions or comments from the group? Where are we at?
1 minute.
1 minute left, yeah. Even advice, although that's not usually what is most useful to people in this situation.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really. I do want to say one thing about thinking about delegating.
Yeah.
Like, just to start thinking about
Right.
I have thoughts on it.
Well,
Yeah,
I've had the system for 3 years. So.
Yeah. No, it's the part of the dilemma, as you probably knew when you went through it, is looking at your stuff and saying, no, I can't give that away. Can't give that away. Can't give that away. Can't give that away.
that would suggest the one thing. I know that some people use remote assistants, so not
Right.
a full-time person, right? But someone who is located somewhere else who assists you and does that stuff.
Yeah, it would be probably a VA
That's what I do.
of some sort or another. Yeah.
15 seconds, 12 seconds.
And I just want to say I'm so excited for your niche. I think your niche is really awesome. I mean, I'm here. I love your niche.
Yeah. I now have 3 one-on-one 6-month program clients. So that's, and without any marketing, truly, no marketing. So, anyway, excellent.
Sweet.
Everyone get the role model?
Yep.
Excellent. And I'll just time for, you're going to time for the next person?
I'll time for the next one.
Okay. So one of you two.
I can go.
Yeah.
And you can see by the pattern, I didn't mean in an NLP you figured out the underneath pattern, just the general experiential pattern.
Sure.
Okay. I'm ready when you are.
So, pattern of things going well. The last couple of weeks have I've gotten really clear, just in general, like not specifically around business things, but just feeling really clear in my life, what's going on with me and who I am. Whereas I was in a fog for so long before that, and that feels amazing. That feels really, really good. And then, right as that happened, I found myself flowing so beautifully, still kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but flowing with all of the things that were on my calendar to do. So I had just enough time in every day to get everything done. And I was running from like, with little breaks in between, from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. for at least 3 or 4 days, give or take a little bit here and there. And I never got tired and I didn't feel exhausted. It was just like this unending fuel. And I stopped drinking coffee. Like I stopped drinking it because I got super irritated and I've been wanting to do these things that are better for my body. So I feel way better and I feel much clearer about a lot of this stuff. So that's been amazing. So seeing that energy that's available has been really awesome. Not going so well. Well, I haven't done much for my business since the last ended. Some of that is just what's on the calendar for this month. The ceremony work has been really tight. I do get an email from Leslie about how to revisions to make, and I just kind of look at it and I'm like, I'll deal with this later. I don't have time for this right now, and I'm not sure. Like there's a little bit of like, kind of like all right, I need to figure out how to recraft this or whatever.
Beth may not know what you're talking about. Realize what?
The letter that I was going to send out, I sent it to her for review, and then Leslie came back with some really good feedback. That I actually agree with, and I'm like, it just didn't. I'm like, just kind of like melted to the floor a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was worrying about that a little bit, like I'm not doing anything for my business right now. And then as I was going through the ceremony work, I'm like, oh, this is actually really helpful for me, which is helpful for my business. So could use some more emphasis on the business and feeling comfortable about all of that. Heart of Business Insight. I'm just at like medicine ceremonies, and my business is like this sort of like smaller kind of like listening down on the floor to nature. I like the sounds of the water, and like something very tribal, and like listening to the earth, and sort of trying to like kind of like pushing off the white man culture and like wanting to bring in sort of like the native way. And this has been sort of an interesting kind of how do I weave these worlds together, the shamanic work and that kind of the essence of what's coming up for me there, and operating in business in a way that feels connected.
Note those words for niching.
For which one?
Niching.
Which
The
ones?
close to earth, the water, the white man's, whatever it was, all the
Probably won't say much about white man's.
well, what I mean, whatever that
Yeah.
is a reference to,
Yeah.
larger. There could be niching stuff there. It might just be vibe or feel, but
And then
anyway.
listening to the voice of the people. the tribes, that I work with, and that's been like a lot of what's been coming up is supporting these communities and these tribes that we're part of. So that was just the perfect. That whole thing was like really perfect. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. Insights or questions for everybody?
Yeah.
I really like what you said about how ceremony, you realize you're working on yourself, which was helping the business. That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, there was a night where I asked Ayahuasca for insight and ideas into my business, and like they came faster than I could keep up with them. So like, you can work on your business and ceremony.
It does feel like this feels so important, and I know the feeling of like I'm in alignment with it. 'Cause there's no resistance to anything, and it's all flowing, and everything's really great. It just feels real good. And then when I start to notice some of the stuff around my business, there's a little bit of ecology that's in there that doesn't feel quite so good. And I think some of that is actually making sure that in myself, I'm framing that my business is actually in service of and supports others.
Yeah.
If I don't feel that that's a part of it, then it doesn't feel right.
Well, and even more specifically, how might your business be expression of whatever it is you value about plant ceremony?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, it might, to the outside world, it might look different than ayahuasca,
Yeah.
but you'll know it's in alignment.
The recognition of the patterns, the shifting of patterns, and the letting go of like old imprints and wounds is actually like a core piece of the medicine.
Alright.
Sorry,
I'll just
I
say,
forgot to give you the
when you described what she does, our shaman lady, and it pretty much describes what we do with NLP. It's just a different way of doing it.
And she's very supportive. So.
Yay! Yay! Yeah, somehow it's going to spiral out of that stuff, that Nichiren spiral image.
I feel like I'm on track. I do feel like I'm actually on track.
And that's a good K.
Yeah.
That's a forward movement K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And you can start talking before you.
Oh, I can? Okay.
That's right. It doesn't have to be, it's just so that people don't go 8 minutes sort of thing. Yeah.
Let's see. What's been working well? I've been kind of on a semi-vacation, which is really working well. I was at a conference in San Antonio. I was accompanying Ezra, my husband, who was a speaker there, and I was not formally registered. This conference has 2,000 plus romance writers, and it was so nice not to be obligated to go to workshops and things. And I had some great meetings that were some spontaneous, some were planned, and they were all about my business. I did a lot of business stuff. I submitted an application to this women's empowerment conference, and they want to know your shame stories. So I talked about my hands, and I would love to get up on that stage.
Wow.
I have to be chosen. There's only 10 speakers to be chosen.
Wow.
So that was super valuable
Wow.
to declare my story and just a little, tell us about your story, 500 words. And I really put it off until the end. And then I made myself have a deadline. What came out of that was this remembrance that I've always had a big vision for my life. And I think I put that in my thank you. And it helped me, again, reach for what's big. I notice I get kind of deflated. That's kind of what's not working well. But what's working well is remembering my big visions and putting some framework on that and setting up ways to make those happen. And that makes me so happy. Just, woo! Paris 2015 writing workshop. That's one of my big visions. And so thinking big and then making real structures around those was super inspiring. Also, what's working well feels like making more room for planning. That's instead of just making that as sort of a sidebar and making I gotta do, go, oh, actually, planning is this wonderful pocket of thinking and reflecting. It's very reminiscent of daydreaming in the fiction writing space. I get to planning of my business. What's not working so well is the finances. They pretty much suck. I'm totally scrambling constantly, and I feel bad about that. That's compounded on top of things. And borrowing money here and there. And I'm still in that situation, so it's and then I feel bad because I can't meet certain commitments, or I have to constantly ask for changes of the deadlines of making payments and things. One thing that the insight with the Heart of Business was validating I gave myself this morning to off. On my calendar it says off. So, but part of me was like, ugh, I gotta do something. I'm like, no, Beth, it's off. So I just took my notebook and I went and got breakfast because there was no food at the house, and I was working on planning, and that was to me being off. So and I'm just sitting outside in the sun, baking my feet because I have these mosquito bites or something from Texas, and just sitting there, and that feeling of luxury of planning is just so yummy to me. And so that our business was very much validating that. I just really, I need that time. And also, I got from the Heart of Business that it's ready for me to take forward movement, and I'm like in charge. I'm like, that's coming. It's not quite yet. Yeah, that's kind of what's up. Questions? Questions?
I'm curious, in response to her goals and that Paris thing I sent a resource, did that look remotely
No, I
interesting?
didn't look at it yet.
Okay.
I've been, yeah,
Okay.
I will. look at
Morgana
it.
is a special person, can I say? Very impressed with herself. But she knows how to do those luxury retreats.
Okay.
She knows how to do them. She does them in Bali, Money Goddess Bali retreats. And she makes a lot of money doing them. So she's doing a 3-day training on how to do luxury
Oh,
retreats.
that's wonderful.
Ooh.
So like,
Where is it?
You guys make a note, ask me to send it to you.
I'm gonna say that I shared with a friend of mine who had a meeting at a conference, who's also a creativity coach like me and a writer, and she's like, so when are you gonna do the Paris retreat? She made me like decide it would be next year, and she does retreats, and she does them with somebody who only takes a cut based on entry. So I'm gonna hook up with that person too. And I'll
Okay.
check out.
Okay.
That makes it more like, oh, you're gonna help me make this happen. Okay, I pay you a percentage out of
Okay.
this bills. Thank you. Anything else?
There was something else. What was it?
I'll just say real quick, I felt really strongly like, wow, like when you talked about your inspiration story, like I could see you on that stage, like
I can see myself.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I have a good foot in the door. Like, I'm sure everyone else does too.
Yeah. 2 things. Big is one of Beth's words. You use that word. And so what your brain, what a CEQ for big is for you is important to you. It doesn't mean, just because it would be small to us doesn't mean it's small to you, right? So you need to develop your K for what's big and what's goddamn it's small. Yeah? And even though it might help me bring in money right now, fuck it, it's small. Not gonna do it.
Not excited.
Yeah. So that seems like the K for you to look out for you. What's the big K and the small K? And again, it doesn't have to be Paris, right? Not everything has to be Paris.
No, really?
Hey, if you can make all your income through 3 Paris retreats a year, I'm sure you'd be perfectly happy doing that.
No, I understand.
The other thing I just want to say, you had this not yet at the end, and I still just want to reflect back to you. It's kind of what went on in our Heart of Business interaction. Is there some way in which you've already arrived and you take pleasure and satisfaction in that?
Regards to
Your business.
Yeah, I've been noticing that. While I was in Texas, I just have to say I was so grateful. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
look at what I have.
Instead of
what
I don't
get
have
to
it
do.
yet, it's I don't have it yet.
Also, look where I came from.
Yeah.
Because I was researching ancestry.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
right.
Did anyone else have a comment to that? I think someone else was going to say something. Okay, I will time for Joshua. You go for it.
So, I don't know what's going well. Our queer body work continues to go well. In terms of like, it's a big learning process. We're learning a lot, and like having a co-instigator to like that I'm accountable to. Like, so we're meeting, right? So we're gonna keep working on this, right? And it's like yes. And so I'm actually doing stuff that I might not do if left on my own devices. And it's like just when I am getting like disappointed, like we do something else and we're obviously continuing to develop. I was like getting that audio recording up and having it like made sure it looked so good, and it was like, oh wow, we've started. We're actually doing this next piece. Okay, it's growing.
Can you share that with everyone, by the way, maybe on the Facebook group?
Yeah.
And then if people feel it would connect with their network, they can send it off to other people.
It's for our page.
Oh, it's just for the membership.
I'm happy
Okay.
to share it with you folks,
Yeah.
but if you would not share,
That's fine. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
and
It's quite nice, by the well. It sounds quite professional,
oh, thank you.
but warm and approachable.
At the same time, like I keep having this. Well, hold on. What else is working well? You know, I've been doing the DMA practices, and like I used to have this identity as someone who like can't keep up a daily practice, and like it's just not really operating. Even when like there were days when I didn't do it like over the weekend, like I did it this morning, and it's like alright, I'm doing it. You know, I've been wobbly around like practicing gratitude, but that just keeps coming up as like really important for me right now. There's a practice from Wendy that's around creation, and mine is focused on like having stable income, and so I started doing it consistently for a little bit, and started having clients show up again, and it's just like, all right, just do this.
Until it gets integrated, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like I can see I felt really stuck, and I can see myself starting to get unstuck, and there's a little bit of back and forth. There was this weekend, but it's like being able to see that back and forth. It's like, your time is limited. The back and forthness, like it's going to shift out. And
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, I'm whining to Wendy, and she's like, "You're practicing resentment. Really, that's what you're doing." I was like, she's like, "I got you." I'm like, "You got my attention." So yeah, and then like what's also working well was just like writing that email and like putting like don't think I'm crazy, but here's what I'm thinking I want to do. It's like that was hard and worth it, and
Good for you.
yeah, and it's like I have some ecology to doing that thing, in part because I think it might actually work, and you know, what's the ecology of good success? So that's what's not working. Is like everything that's in my way to just like letting go of how it's been and stepping into how I want it to be. You know, falling into old familiar patterns of like making it not work. You know, in a way that looks like complaining about it not working. But actually continuing it rather than doing it. So part of my business wanted to be smaller than me, and I got this question of like, what does it actually mean to be in charge of business? So that's the question I have.
I had one question while you were talking about, just in 15 seconds, tell them this new thing you want to try.
Yeah.
Just so they know. Yeah,
the idea is a type of website service modeled on WordPress.com. WordPress.com is like
just briefly.
Yeah.
Just what you do.
The way it works is you can sign up for a website, and it's like all automatic. You don't have to install it. It just is there for you, and you can start. And so providing that to massage therapists who are kind of like, here you go. It's right there. There are templates especially for massage therapists, so it's not going to look generic. And it would be a monthly subscription.
I just want to say that from a developmental point of view, you seem like exactly on track. You're in action, and you're learning the discipline of being in action. And soon it will be less like, oh, this is new, you know, like you're right there, and it feels like you're putting support around you so that you can make those things happen, so you can take those steps.
And for me, I'd have a secondary question about the website thing or the whatever you're calling it is ecology of success, but I just want to be attentive to the ecology of whether you really want to do it.
Yeah.
Whether there's passion or commitment or interest there. Or is it, we can do things just to bring in some money. We do it, most of them are called jobs. And we do them all the time, and often we do them quite well. But that's, if there's something that stops you along the way, I'd be asking that question. Other comments or questions for Josh?
No, that was my feedback to that one. Something that would pay the bills and possibly make some money, and it's the passion there to want to do. Like you even said, like I'm almost like it might almost actually work. And if it does work, and even now I have to start spending time on it, like, or putting the energy into it, is that going to be something that later down the road you'd be feeling like, oh shit, now I have this thing that I'm doing.
Part of the definition of it working is not taking a lot of ongoing energy to maintain.
I work with that song, but
Yeah, that's great.
And
I can already think of people to tell about it.
I've got a couple people.
My guess is if my business gets bigger, that's the kind of thing I'd want to send people who are totally technophobic to. So if you could make it jiggerable enough so it's not just for massage practitioners, just for like alternative practitioners and coaches, that kind of thing.
Solopreneur,
You probably don't want it for people who are going to be like, I don't know, tax accountants. That becomes too bells and whistles-y. But okay, good, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go into our first set of constellations, and I'm calling these intention-setting constellations. Who here read my last blog article on being rapport with versions of self over time? I do recommend it. I kind of have to say, if I say so myself, I kind of hit on something. And we did a little bit of that on the last workshop. And what I want to do, what I'm noticing, this whole thing we do in NLP about future pacing, setting up a VC, I think the way we tend to conventionally talk about it is creating something for your brain, to go for. Like if it's not there, there's nothing to reach for. But I'm thinking about it more and more in constellation terms, and I said this in a constellation last night. If this were representative for my future state that I want, and I put it in the constellation field, it's now an element in the field. Mm-hmm. And everything else, the present self and everything around the present self, is going to be partly in response to this element. So that's what I want to do. I want to place a future desired you in your field. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So first off, just a few minutes, I want you to, on your own, quietly, do some future pacing on your own. What version of you do you want by the end of the series? You're going to have to make it semi-concrete, but it doesn't have to be like, I am making $5,000 a month, whatever it is. But, do the, what I want, what would I like? Make a picture of it. Step in, find out what it's like. Step back out, what does that one believe? Just do a little bit. I'm going to invite you to do that on your own right now. Just do some future pacing on a desired state you have for the end of this series. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. This is preliminary work. Early November 2015. If you run into your ecology, because I just did, do that kind of okay thing. Notice that your ecology is part of the present you. This is what you do with clients, right? Any fear or reaction to that is part of the present you, and let yourself have the future you be exactly what you want it to be. With total respect for whatever reaction you're having to it right now. Another minute or so. Start to wrap it Okay, since we got a little noise anyway. Okay, so we're going to do two different exercises with this. So the first one is going to be on your own. It's going to be a timeline. And on your timeline, just set up some past version of you in business, preferably a past version who couldn't believe that you could be, happen or whatever, but some past version of you, maybe a past version of you that was only thinking about it or dreaming about it or just getting started or whatever. Present you and that future you just imagined in early November. So you'll make a timeline, and I'm going to sort of leave you on your own to do this. Basically what you want to do, this is something I do a lot with clients, when I have an impression that they feel like in order for them to have the future you, their past you has to lose or be wrong or be left behind in some way. Yeah. So just if this is kind of the timeline, I'm just going to do a short one. Look at I'm in the past spot, look at the present spot, look at the future spot. Me's, they're all me's. With respect and affection, present one, looking back at the past one, the future one doing this kind of the same thing. Notice which ones have misconceptions about how they're viewed by the other two. Yeah. Often what they'll find out is that they'll get to the future you and they'll look at the past you, and I'll ask them, how much does that future you judge those past yous? And they're like, totally not at all. Okay, take that news back to the past you and notice that your future you doesn't judge you for not being in the future yet. Yeah? So just do that work on your own. You guys know how to do that. There's kind of a line here, there's one in the kitchen, and there's one in the hallway.
Do like a back and forth.
Just do it back and forth for about 5 or 10 minutes. The goal here is to discover any misconceptions in how one feels perceived by the other. There doesn't tend to be judgment of the others. There's worry of judgment from the others. Yeah, usually. If you run any snags, let me know. But mostly, this is a rapport between past, present, and you selves. This is the article from last week. It's rapport between selves across time.
What if one of them is judging one of the past?
Call me over. Okay? Try and work it out a little bit, see what happens when you go back and forth, but if it doesn't resolve, let me know.
Okay.
Move this a little bit so someone can do a line right here. Between here and here.
Okay, can we do this one?
Yeah, it does, yeah. And then there's a nice room in the hallway or wherever you want to do it. Or
Do we need
you need pens. Here, I have pretty rocks. Anyone want to use pretty rocks? They're awesome rocks. Would anyone like me to turn the tea water on again?
Sure.
2 more minutes. If you're running into any snags, let me know. If you haven't done this, remember at least at some point on the future spot to turn around and look back at the other two, and on the present spot to look back. So everyone's gotten a good look at everybody else.
How did I be judgmental?
That's, you know, it really is the fear on behalf of the others, usually is what I find.
Am I able to sneak around that way?
Yeah, or, yeah. And if you want to put in a fresh bag, that's fine. Do you want a plate or a bowl?
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave the ends.
Where did you get your pen?
That was
What?
the first one.
Okay. I get all my fruits and vegetables from the weekend farmers markets.
Okay, there's
Yeah, get some more tea. Okay, so at this point, we're going to do our third part of this, which is now we're going to do constellations. So we're going to be doing 5 to 10 minute constellations all in a group because we're going to need everybody. At this point, what did I write? How did I decide I wanted to do this? Yeah. If it's your turn, you're going to represent your present you. And 2 other people are going to represent your future you and your past you, and I'm going to facilitate. So we're going to do that for 5 to 10 minutes each, okay? And this is my constellation field. Because often when I have clients, this is where we do stuff. So, who would like to go first? I'll go first. Okay. So if you guys want to put the tea somewhere close to your ability to sip it while you represent, that's just fine.
Sorry, I'm like, constellation, I don't know. Get back to something.
Okie dokes. So, decide who's who, and then all three of you enter into the space.
So she's present, and one of us is past, and one is future.
Yeah.
Past self. Future self.
And you have the intention of those specific past and that specific future selves that you were just working with. Okay. And then just enter the field wherever you seem to belong. Let it adjust until it settles.
Yeah, but kind of a little bit more this way.
Which was which again?
Past, future.
Okay. So what's your experience?
I kind of want to keep them both in vision. I don't want this one to be out of the circle, but most of my attention is on this one.
Okay. And what's your experience?
I'm more focused on this one, but I really do want to see both of them. I'm actually, this is the one that I'm kind of like, oh, this one, like, you know, just sort of feeling a lot of love and respect for.
Right.
Love and respect for both, but
Yeah. So when we know what the identities are, you can say, my attention is on the present me, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and
Right, we're
use
not
that. We do that this one stuff when we don't know what is on the cards yet. And what's your experience, please?
Pouty. And I want to leave. Like, I want to go over there. I
And
don't.
pouty, can you have a sense for
I don't not like these ones. I think I don't like myself, and don't want to be seen. And when I look at them, I feel more seen. So if I don't, then it's like maybe they don't see me.
I'm going to try something terrible. My apologies. Can you stand next to that one, shoulder to shoulder? Take one step over here. Maybe half a step back just to give their bodies a little room. With your eyes closed.
Close
You
my
guys close your eyes.
Yeah.
I want you to look at them. They're not looking. Bow to the past you.
I bow.
Yeah, both of you. And Peter, can you take your hands out of your pockets? And just receive them respecting it. Come on up. How was that for you?
Emotional, hard, wanted to run away.
That's really interesting. Because this one isn't wanting to run away because they're hurt or upset or suffering. They don't want to be seen. It's really interesting. You guys can open your eyes. So let's try this. Can you say to your past self, I'll act like I don't see you,
I'll act like I don't see you.
but I see you. Can you say the same thing?
I act like I don't see you, but I see
I'll act like you don't see me too.
you.
What?
I said, I'll act like you don't see me too.
That's a little shift there. It's really interesting. I just got to feel into this for a second. The resolutions.
It's almost like I don't want to exist.
I just want to try this for a moment, see what happens. You guys sit down on the ground.
That's weird.
Yeah. So even though Beth was obviously smaller in the past, right? You come first. Can you guys look at this one and say, you came first?
You came first.
So can you say, you came first, I came second, you came third?
You came first, I came second.
I came third.
And now you say that you came first,
You
That
came
one can-
first. You came second. I came
I know that's weird, but
third.
At least I can look at them now.
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
What age is this one?
it's whatever you decided.
Okay. Well, I put it at a early in my business when
Right,
I didn't know
right,
what the hell I was doing.
Right. And the field is identifying that with more than that. Yeah, not childhood per se, but so one of the things I wrote in this article is that by bringing in an element of the future for some people is really, really important because literally at some point in childhood they stopped having a future because because they knew what was coming next was a whack or something. So you just stop imagining that there is a future. Yeah. What I'm feeling here in the system is I will not have a past.
This makes me sad.
Yeah. Can you just say that into the space and everybody?
That makes me really sad. If you don't exist.
The reason why I'm making the past bigger is because the past is first. No past, no you guys. It's like this one births you, in a sense. No? I mean, obviously Carl teaches the future also births the past and all that stuff, but there's almost like there's a sense that the past is a liability in the system and it'd be best to sort of not have it here. Actually, without it, as you know.
I blink out of existence.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I could find a way for it to just be you guys, that seemed like it'd be much better.
Yeah, okay, so here's what I want you to do. This is really fun. You guys stand up. And this is what I want you to do. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. You try and leave and you guys like stay at the same distance at all times.
What do you mean?
You just try and leave. You can even go out the door, out on the patio. And you don't need a crowd or anything. Just notice that this one actually, there is no getting away from having a future. And then give this one room to try and get away again.
You coming back?
And now you get to say, damn it.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we're going to leave this here.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I think we moved it a little bit, but this is really interesting and
This
useful
is-
for you.
So unknown.
Yeah, okay, so we'll dissolve that here.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, who's up next? Okay, so take a sip of tea, find yourself, eat a bite of kale, whatever it is that you need to do to de-roll.
We'll pass the kid.
Whatever it is that you do.
And then you know the drill now. And then you all just find your places, including you, wherever you're now in the role of the present you. And that's kind of the end of the field, so don't go any further than that. If someone literally wants to leave the field, let me know. Go out the doors.
everything feels the same.
Okay. So remind me who got assigned what?
Past, future.
So future, one on the ground. What's going on for you?
Yes. I felt like sitting down and it's kind of like, this is convenient.
You look kind of peaceful. Is that right? No?
Peaceful is not the word for it. It's not peaceful, but it's more like need some energy to do something other than this.
And then tank top.
I wanted to be next to the plant. I actually checked out all the plants. And then I just noticed this amazing tree. Like I'm kind of zoned out. I want to be like at one with nature. I want to be rooted. I feel rooted. I like that this one's leaning on me, but I'm a little concerned for some reason. But I don't know.
I'm a little concerned.
I like the sense of rootedness. I don't really notice you actually. I'm kind of focused on the forest. I notice you're there, but I don't notice the relationship. I notice this one should be standing in my opinion.
Probably.
I feel like this one should be standing too.
I mean, it's the same. Like,
Actually, I have another idea about that. What are you experiencing?
I'm slightly perplexed.
And you
Yeah.
look like you don't have a place in the system.
I
mean,
kinda
that's
feel-
literally what it's feeling like.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm outside of it. Like I just couldn't quite find a spot to be. Most of my attention is on this one.
The future one.
Yeah, and I'm like like crap. Like like doing it wrong. What am I doing here? How do I have like this vision for the future? I really want to support future me. Not having a future feels scary. Having a future me that's like,
Well, what it actually feels more like is that there's a future and a past you, and it's hard to have a present you. You kind of don't have a spot here. These at least have spots, as distorted perhaps as they might be.
I feel like I don't have a spot here.
Yeah,
I feel like I have a spot
this is here.
out there.
Well, out there is not your field.
when you just said that right now, I felt sort of like, I hear you.
That's nice.
I don't know.
I could use some of that. I could use.
Ah.
There's like a sense of like not belonging to my own life.
You bet.
Oh.
Like this is a life with a, I was talking
Kind of
about
chills.
lives where they don't have a future anymore. They just don't have a case for future.
Yeah.
yours has got some limitation around present. It's got for past and future, but it's got some limitation around present. So here's what I would like to do. I'm just going to do this on manual. Can the three of you sit on the ground in a circle?
Feels like there should be fire here.
And then just have that experience for a moment and tell me how that is, if that helps shift anything.
I like it.
It's really good.
Feels kind of like new. Like
I really want. I really want to connect with this one more.
Yeah, I feel kind of out of place here.
Yeah. So I had another thought, because you really want to be lower and leaning. So can you guys sit next to each other? And can you turn around and lay with your head down on these two? I don't know why that's, I mean, I can't even really come up with an explanation for this.
feels like this needs to be nurtured, like a little seedling.
So how is everyone with this?
Tender and sweet.
It is, okay.
I feel very much like the big oak tree who's nurturing the sapling.
And you still get to look out at nature.
I know. I'm so happy.
Before I had you kind of looking at the books or something, yeah?
Yeah.
I appreciate this one here, and I'm still mostly focused on this one here.
I feel like there's some active ingredient that you have. Like I'm providing like the soil, but there's something that you're providing here that's different.
In future, how are you?
This is nice.
I love how Peter.
Pink
very-
shoes.
There's almost like a time
It's
warp
almost like
feeling.
the Wicked Witch underneath the house.
Oh, I thought like sort of this growing thing that was getting big, like not used to the size of it.
I
So
completely blanked on
gangly.
what you just said.
Well, just like like a teenager, how they grow very gangly. Like that's the feeling here. Feet too long for the bed.
It's funny.
So future you, can you say, I'm here,
I'm here,
but I need lots of support.
but I need lots of support.
And if it works, can you say, but don't worry,
But don't worry.
because you're doing worry.
I'm doing right.
Yeah.
I feel better after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't feel so worried. My first thought is get some rest and take a nap because we're going to be doing a lot.
Can you two link arms? No? And can you say to present you, you got my help.
You got my help.
That's way better.
So can you notice how you're kind of indelibly connected to your past and your future, and you have a place? You're kind of the joint. And just notice that for now, this is what rapport between your past, present, and future you feels like. You know, in a year, this will almost certainly be arranged differently. My guess is that future you will be a little bit more sprightly. Yeah. Okay? Okay, good.
Oh.
You can close that so we don't get the bugs. Oops. Okay. We roll as necessary. Joshua.
That's me. Future me.
And you will find your places.
I want to stand on this.
Yeah, sure. You didn't have shoes on. Just the other thing is if you want to use those chairs, they're very stable. You can put it where you want. I do constellations in the space, and I often will pull those guys out because they're some stable to stand on.
I don't want to be in line with you.
Everyone more or less settled in a spot? So one on the floor?
I feel really comfortable looking out this window.
Okay. Do you notice the other two at all?
I prefer not to.
Oh, that's future you? Past you. Okay.
Alright, I guess it's not that I prefer not to, it's just I feel really uncomfortable when I have to look over there.
Uncomfortable how?
Feel a little. I don't want to look at them. I'm more inclined to look at this one. That one is just too much. I can really only see up to here. Where they just yeah, it's a little bit like, oh shit. Are you looking at me?
It's a little bit of what we showed, got it in Beth's
A little bit, yeah.
t-shirt.
Future, let's see, I want to have like a more of a connection with the present self, and I'm feeling very kindly towards the past self. I want to know it, to know that I'm here. And I want to come over here. And I'm not really sure if I need to be up here, but it just kind of felt important.
And we may take you down just so you can participate, but it's worth having on the record.
Okay.
If that feels right.
Yeah, it felt like, oh wow, look how far I can see, and wow, there's a lot of hope here, a lot of excitement, and also wanting to include these guys in that.
And present you?
From over there, it was like, watching my past and future, and like they seem to be looking backward. Is how this feels. That's interesting. And as I come over here, I'm more like, what's going on with the past? I don't want to move.
Yep.
Oh.
Would you be leaning against both of them or just present you?
I want to shift also.
The chairs up.
Yeah, let me get
So
that.
we'll take the chair out.
It's important.
Yeah.
I want to be part of the team.
This feels a little better.
Present you, I'm going to invite you to take your hands out of your pockets. And if you still want to put your hand there, make sure you.
Is that good?
Okay.
I feel like we're going forward.
Can you say to this one, that's not backwards, it's
Yeah,
forward.
that's not backwards, that's forward.
It's all just a redefinition of the line, right?
Yeah.
Balcony's in front of us.
Well, how are you down there?
I'm actually feeling pretty good.
Can you look up at future you now? It's
Over
over there.
Hey.
Yeah, it's
Hi.
still a little shy. But
And you can look at present you.
yeah. Feels like we're going on a trip. Like we're getting ready to go on a road trip somewhere.
So here's the meaning I'm getting out of this is that as you move forward, there's something in your system that's important about taking the past with you instead of leaving it behind. But obviously not in the sense of we keep on reliving our past, right? That kind of way of taking it. But bringing something valuable or meaningful about it. If this resonates, can you say to present you, you're not going to leave me behind, are you? And that's one of the things we get confused about is the idea that we have to abandon our past self in order to have a future that we'd like. Right? And we won't do that. We just won't. Present you, how are you feeling?
When I said no. Oh, so when you were talking, I was like, I wonder what it could be. Like, what is it that needs to be taken forward? But when Pat said you won't leave me behind, will you? And I said no. Like something opened here, and it was like feeling the answer rather than knowing it.
Yeah.
Or
Good,
just like
good.
having it happen automatically.
You know, Tony Thayer wrote me an email after I sent out that article, and he said, I read the article and I remembered a specific moment as a child when I said to myself, I will never leave this pain behind. And I'm realizing that I can actually respect and include that young version of me and move forward. Yeah. Like that was a commitment to like never have it. So it'd be better.
Oh,
Mm.
oh, this feels good. It feels like you're connecting us all.
Mm.
And then can you say to the past you, you're important. I wouldn't want him to leave you behind.
You're important. I wouldn't want him to lose you.
Mm.
Can I add, we need you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need you. Essential.
So can you say, you're bigger and stronger than you think.
You're bigger and stronger than you think.
Just in the sense of often there are elements in our system that often get tagged as the victim, and it was terrible for them and how awful and all that sort of thing. Often it's an ancestor who says, damn it, will you stop seeing me as a victim? I want you to see my strength. Yeah? So it's just a little bit of inviting into the system that all of our younger selves have a strength in them that we did not know, could not see, that blossoms into that.
It sounds really
Yeah. And we don't need to actually do anything about that right now. Just bring that into the space. Is this good enough for now?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So break now. Restroom is past the galley kitchen. People want to step out onto the patio for 1 second. It's very pleasant on the patio. We've got tomatoes and basil on the patio.
I've been hearing the birds actually.
Yeah, I've got a bird feeder up there. They're really, really, really happy. It was empty for a while.
It's funny that like what the sense I got on my timeline over there showed up a little bit the constellation.
Well, we'll have a chance to debrief briefly in the group. You have a tooth thing?
The roof of my mouth is a little raw. I should have done something with it.
Good thing that'll heal in about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Good, powerful.
I'm trying to remember my constellation.
The one we did just now.
Oh yeah, me, not my life.
The one that was like your timeline.
Well, kind of.
I always worried about Georgia past because I kind of tend to see that past me as like, you know, even worse than how I see myself now. So it's this whole thing. What came up this weekend was around liking myself, and so that also includes past me. What you said about seeing the strengths. It was like in the timeline. It was like, wow, like that me was dealing with so much and had way less support and wasn't taught to do what I've been trying to do. And I really just did the best that I could. You're out here, so okay. That's pretty awesome.
Oh. The hypnotic language and things I use on clients all the time is you are, and your past selves are your future selves' necessary past.
You are and your past selves are your future selves' necessary past.
Well, usually there's a specific, I mean, I'm doing both here, but usually it's just the future and the present, and I'm just saying yourself, you are that one's necessary past. No way around it. Without you, that one didn't get to have his or her most excellent experience. Well, since everyone's sitting here, other shares from that. Anything else? In fact, Joshua, anything else about that?
So I noticed that on my timeline when I got to the future, like the past was kind of like a little or unsure, like it didn't feel like it belonged. The future, or the present me was just me and sort of heartwarming and really good. And the future just felt really airy, like very open and not very solid. And couldn't get like a real strong sense of what it was, except that it was just very open and sort of flowy. And I actually, took that. Did look back at the other two and how it felt about them, took that back to them. But I also took how my present me felt to future me. Like I really want to have this kind of flow.
Nice.
Run it forward, and it started to like brighten up a little bit.
Awesome.
But then we go in here, and it's like it's like my future is like on the floor with no energy, and I'm like, yeah. It sort of seemed to make a certain kind of sense. But just noticing the letting it be okay that it's it's building energy, but that came to me like, oh yeah, it's okay to rest and prepare, for that, and to have time to grow and solidify.
Well, and the meaning that I take from it is less the resting and no energy, although that's kind of part of it. Because what I'm looking for at the end of a constellation, as much as is available, is a resolution. It feels good, and so the meaning I take from it is it needs a lot of support and a lot of nurturing from the other yous in your system, whatever that means. Yeah. So there's a sense of which systemically the past you and the present you, it's not that you're going to, this is the other thing to know, that the representations in there is not what it's going to be like in November. It's how it is in the system now for a future you. In the future, it's going to be the present you, right? Right? So it's inevitably, we set it up and who knows what it's going to look like. But right now, to manifest that future, the future self needs these kind of like heart-centered, loving, connected support and nurture of the present and past you, and the present and past you in partnership about that. So in some ways, it's inviting you, I think, to have less attention on the future and a little bit more about bonding and connecting with your past you in support of the future. And this is really important. We're not even manifesting the actual past you, and it's how the past you is in your system now for you. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's the meaning of these things in the system now. Other shares or insights?
I was kind of befuddled by how my past showed up in the constellation. Like I can feel it in the walking timeline how my past was very upset at being so confused and so lost and so not knowing, not having the resources to do what you wanted to do. And in walking back and forth, I was able to find the strength in the past, which was I was committed to something and I was in action around it the best I could. And this whole time I've been writing fiction. It's like, wow, even when things are kind of, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I was so committed to fiction. That was cool. So when we did this, what came to me is that I've had a lot of anger about how I have not been prepared for this choice to be an entrepreneur. I mean, except the fact that I actually was unconsciously confident about a good number of things. But I was also super aware of everything I did not know how to do. And that was very upsetting to me. But I think this is about something else.
It is. It's not about that.
And I don't quite get what this is.
There's something systemic about in it. The past worried about the attention of the present and the future. Like, yeah, we just have present and future. Come on, yeah.
I don't feel it. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, except that I have a hard time sometimes with people's attention on me. It is physically through the body, super uncomfortable.
Right. So my guess is that is the past you.
The part that is uncomfortable being physically uncomfortable. And that dates from day one. I mean,
There you go.
that's in my physiology from birth.
Yeah.
No, not
So
from
the
birth,
more
but
we
right
integrate
after.
the past you, the more likely that is to settle. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Well, it's what we just did, and you let it be, right? So we let the present and the future you.
Mhm.
This is the thing to remember about doing constellations. After they're done, there's nothing to do. People are like, so now what you're telling me is I should really develop an awareness of no, that stuff. Just forget about it. But that the present and the future you can look up to the past you with respect. Yeah, and that made the past you easier to let itself be seen. So we'll see if that being seen thing gets better. And apparently the future you doesn't have that issue.
I do want to say that I noticed in being away, I went to a capoeira class at an academy and did capoeira in like 100-degree heat, which is crazy. But I noticed it was easier for me to be myself there than it is for me to be myself here in my capoeira academy. And I was like, just wanting to take responsibility for that, how I show up.
And to also not give yourself a hard time about that. And sometimes anonymity is lovely.
I am more comfortable in it.
Yeah. One of the things that used to drive us nuts in the Episcopal Church was we would start these welcoming programs, on the sort of how to make ourselves more of a community. And people say, damn it, I came here to not interact with people. I like being anonymous. And it would drive us nuts because that wasn't the point of the community. But it's a real human need that sometimes, I don't want everybody there to know me. I like being anonymous there.
Well, I could just be the person from out of town. Hello, how are you?
And you're a super networker, so it's clearly
It's true. I
there's
talk to a lot of people.
and you engage with people really, really easily in a way that I have a really hard time doing. So. Okay. Anybody else about that want to say something or ask something? Okay. So by the way, I gave you those 3 nuts and bolts things we're going to do in these workshops. We're not doing any of them today. This is all going to be process stuff today. I just wanted to start there. So I wanted to start out with, the other thing is any way you feel unsettled about anything we just did, yes, give attention to the unsettledness, but it's not a sign of anything wrong. What we really wanted to do was make a place for your future self. Now it's in the system's got to deal with it.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Like really helpful. I sometimes have a hard time, especially around this, like making sure of my future self.
Yeah.
It can be really difficult because I don't get on. Some of that. It's like I don't want a place of like the ego to construct this version of myself that's not really true to what's going to just naturally show up.
Yeah.
So it's more of like the feel of what I would like my life to feel like, but the actual specifics I've had a hard time actually creating. training.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be as open as possible to allow things to show up naturally. Because that's usually the way things have a tendency to work for me. When I plan stuff, it just doesn't seem to. The plans are kind of for shit. But we've got to be an in-between ground there for that. That's what I was trying to do.
Well, and just to let you know that when you do more classic NLP and you're doing the VC and the future pacing and all that stuff, now that I've had this insight and aha about all this, I bring that intention even though I'm doing it in the fairly classical NLP kind of a way. It's not so much about working with the brain to, create pictures for it to aim for. Because I'm a trifle skeptical of that, to be honest. I've made plenty of pictures for my future that have not come true. Although obviously it still has an effect. I'm thinking more in terms of creating an element that now the larger system dynamic has to deal with somehow or another. Yeah, that's and it's more just intention. There's not a whole lot different I'm doing in actual practice. And now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on a particular piece of ecology. Okay, so we're just going to do classical constellations here right now. And I'd like you to just choose something that feels like your biggest block. The thing right now that it was part of probably of the patterns that weren't working that you talked about in your opening sharing. So I'll give you a second to decide that.
How clear do we have to be on what it is?
You know how it is for constellations. The more specific it is, I mean, something like I'm not making enough money is fine, or I'm not attracting clients at the rate that seems I would like to have, or I've got my finger in too many pies, or it could be something back to the heart of business piece. So it could be the heart of my business seems overstimulated. However you want to put it, I recommend you actually do it from your mundane life because it's about something you're tussling about. So I would do one of two things. I would probably do the manifestation of cranky clients. The other choice would be the being overextended right now.
How about I haven't seemed to be able to let myself get started on the project that I want to do.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. How long have you been deciding you wanted to do it and have not been doing it? It can't be that long because I haven't. Last time we talked.
Some weeks at least.
And you were planning to get on it right away, and you haven't been.
Right. It's like there's an urgency, and that I'm ignoring. The urgency is in part my software subscription is going to run out, and I want it to be making money before that.
Right. Got it.
I can feel
Okay.
the fear there.
Okay, so I want to do this thing, and I'm not doing it. That's fine. Sounds like a strategy installation, right? A motivation strategy. You got something?
Yeah, resistance to doing things that generate money. I have plenty of non-paying or not directly paying community support stuff that I'm doing, but nothing I'm doing is currently paying me right now.
Okay.
In a way that's really tangible. And when I think about doing stuff that would be like generating money,
Okay. And Beth?
Yeah, I need more money. And it needs to be fun, easy, and now. Because I'm very grumpy about doing things I don't have to do. But there's a checklist of things I do doing right now.
So if we were to state the present state in a sort of appreciative way, like money is not coming in fast enough, or in the amounts I would like.
Sure. Yeah.
And is it fundamentally a client flow thing?
Yes, it is a client flow.
Because that might be the way to actually name it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it is a client flow thing. I mean, if I had a few more into the group program and I had a few fun editing projects coming in, and production client. That
So you
was
can say a
one.
client
Yeah.
and income flow thing.
Yeah, it's a
That's-
client and income.
Okay, we'll
So
say. It is interesting. Sometimes when I delve in, it's hard to know without delving, doing outcome framing on it.
Yeah.
That either can be about the client flow or it can be about the money. It can be hard to know what's the ecology sticking point. So we'll just say both of them together,
Sure.
and because I need
Okay.
an outcome frame to figure it out, right? Okay, so we're going to do classical constellations. You're going to represent yourself, and again, remember, try not to think too much about it. You want to let the field try and be a representative. In a perfect world, we would have someone else representing you, right? And then someone else is going to represent the block, and we're going to leave the third one in hand for whatever seems to be needed to be added in, okay? So we're going to do these 10 to 15 minutes. Bless you. And so who would like to go first? Okay. So clear up the space again.
I know we just had a break, but can
Yes.
I love this.
Aren't those nice? I got these when I was in China. They're colored chalk
Oh, really?
on like construction paper. They're obviously very sophisticated. But in China, as in every tourist land, you go to a place where they sell stuff and you'd see the same stuff you saw at the last. I mean, I had this in Jerusalem, right? The same stuff at the other place and the same stuff at the other place. So it was very hard for me to find stuff that seemed unique and local. Yeah. And this guy had a stack of these. My imagining is that they're children's fairy tales of some sort or another. And I just chose the two I like. I love the chilies, the doves or whatever they are. Okay, so you said first.
First, yes.
Okay, so who do you want to have sit out until we need them? Okay, so have a seat on the couch.
Yeah, more rest.
And then just really get clear about the block in your mind. And when you're ready, just tap her and call her the block. Now you guys find your place.
I'd be actually by the window.
Okay.
I might even try and leave.
Go out the patio.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Patio constellations.
It's a little cold out there.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of. I'm feeling kind of lonely right away too. Like, no, not okay, not that far, not that far away.
So can you say in the space? I thought that's what I wanted.
I thought that's what I wanted to escape, but actually, I don't. But I'm a little. Maybe I should get down here.
Thanks for noticing.
I just really want to keep an eye on this one.
Keep an eye on
The block.
what?
Just keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
Like,
But take care of. Just make sure that one doesn't leave your sight.
Yeah, make sure
help,
I don't- it's more fascinating. I'm more interested. Like what's going on here? It's not like I feel like I want to help. I just feel like it's interesting. And I kind of want to make sure it doesn't get out of my sight.
And Block, how are you?
I'm feeling like I need help, but I'm in a little bit stuck, like in a box or something. It's hard to see this one. I mean, I can hear this one, but I can't look at this one.
Let's go to the side. Let's go and do something.
like this.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. That's better.
I had no idea this is what was going to happen. I love this.
I kind of want to go there. Can I go there?
Whatever. Yeah. No, this is a constellation.
I kind of feel a little. But now I want something with this person. I don't know what it is. I'm
You
happy.
can say with Peter because
Yeah, with
Peter's
Peter.
Peter.
Peter. I don't know what came in, but it made me feel like I could like sit up and move.
Do you want to help stand up? Or you
Uh,
think
A little afraid.
Why don't you go down first?
sounds good.
And it might be kind of a kneely kind of thing. Like kind of like this kind of a thing.
Oh,
And take care of yourself. Take care of your body.
oh, okay. I don't know if I trust
A little bit closer to you.
Is that okay? You
that's
want
enough.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I'm sorry, I haven't paid attention.
Actually, that's not the right phrase. Because you've been paying a lot of attention.
Well, I'm sorry, I haven't
No.
helped.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
yeah. Just, you're doing good.
I'm curious about this one.
Yeah. What's your experience? We haven't heard a report from you other than that you wanted to do that.
Yeah, no, this feels good, and I'm not really much aware of much else in terms of experiencing. It's just like, oh, everything. Okay, cool.
Do you see the block?
Oh yeah, no, the block's fun.
Black spine?
Fun.
Can you tell Peter that?
That one's fun.
So this one sees the IPO.
Oh, okay.
So can you say to Peter not only fun is it, that one's important.
Mm.
That one's important. Can you say to that one you're important?
Yeah, important.
Oh, thanks. That's good. I like that. I like hearing that. I think that's what I want.
You're important.
That's good. Okay, now I can sit next to you.
Yay.
And you can change your position if that kneeling thing is not working for you.
Now I feel important. I feel like there's something we can do together.
So basically what we just did was essentially a reframe, right?
And now it's us against them. Or whatever, you know.
Or with them.
With
Yeah.
whatever new.
That really feels good. I appreciate that.
So
We're
all
on the
that
same team.
all that I said with Joshua, I kept it really neutral, not neutral, but unnamed, was something in Peter's system that can help. Now, obviously it's something ancestral,
Mm.
but I didn't game that system.
It feels like I want to be recognized as important on the same level as you. Like I'm not this little man or whatever. It's like, well, actually, we're peers
Mm.
on it. Something that I guess I'm really part of you, but so
I feel the urge to say that I really want to respect you, and I want to keep that respect, or nurture that respect, so you can get to know you better.
just appreciate all that I bring to the table.
So classic Helen verse words. Can you say you have a place in it?
Oh, good. That's good.
So this is just going to be what the two of you will do together.
Yes.
I can't do that alone. You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
Together.
Let's do it together.
Whatever.
That feels way
Yeah. So can you say I see your strength?
better. I see your strength.
Before I didn't, and now I do.
Before I didn't, and then I did.
And can you say me too?
See? I nerd. Can appreciate it.
Peter, can you just take a moment and feel this one? I don't know what the IPO of your block is. You may have some suspicions. No?
Half a dozen possible.
Yeah. But whatever they are, whatever the IPO is, when reframed into a strength, right? Just find that K. For yourself.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to get rid of any part of you.
Easy. I'll take your arm.
I want to say, better not. Or she will throw a fit.
The other thing, I've got a little curiosity. I don't know your story personally very much, Peter. You don't have any sibling stuff, do you? Do you have a sibling thing?
I have 2 half sisters.
But like someone who died or
Nobody
aborted or lost or twin or anything like that?
Nobody died, but there's been a lot of trauma, kind of like sexual abuse and things like that in their
That's
experience.
right.
Not in my experience of them, and they both left. I mean, I didn't really grow up with them.
Because it is a little interesting that this one insisted on its pure relationship with you, which for me implies there's some patterning around here around siblingness.
I don't really have much of a pure relationship with my siblings.
Hellinger-wise, you are equals in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah? Parents are bigger. If you had children, nephews, nieces, they're smaller. Siblings are the same size.
I mean, my sense of it, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to share, but my sense of it is that it's something within me from the past.
Okay. So it's a twin of you, in a sense. Okay. And there's certainly some aspect of you that has been considered weak or a liability. Poor part of me. Again, it's what we said in the last constellation about ancestors who finally go, stop seeing me as victims. See my strength. Right? For just a minute, I'm just going to step into this.
I'm excited.
I'm curious.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. That's the engine. You're the chooser. You're the engine. You're the power for the engine. You're the engine. You're the chooser. Sorry, George Bush, you're the decider.
This one feels very excited.
Yeah.
But we are waiting.
And I actually really want both of you to just push against those hands, because that's really important. I see an inclination for the two of you to do it without that one.
This is the one that helps.
This is the one that makes this look like this, rather than the way it started.
Yeah. And this is very.
Yeah, this almost feels more connected with whatever this resource is than you guys. I feel connected to you guys, but I'm like, yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Reframe the block. Loving it.
That was really helpful.
Yeah. Well, and it's so, I mean, we're all trained to find the IPOs, but God forbid if we should see the IPOs in our own stuff.
I didn't think that was I'm like an IPO of that, really? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, next up, Beth or Joshua. Okay, and which is the one you would like to sit down for a minute?
Let's see. You're the block president, so let me do my block.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ah.
Because I can't really see from here. Whoa. Rule always is no bodily harm in constellations.
If I have to be attached to this one, I just do it.
So is it Joshua chasing the block or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I kind of really want the front of it.
You need to teach them some capoeira. Okay, block, how are you? Blocked.
I'm slightly, just kind of like, oh, Jesus. Here we are again. I kind of feel uncomfortable a little. I kind of wish this wasn't happening. I sort of prefer something different. And I can look out the window.
And your experience of Joshua is what?
The words that came to mind were like slightly irritating. But it's more like, enough already. Just, can you give me some space?
Joshua, your experience.
I'm sad here, but it's like I can't get what I want, and I will settle for this. And like this feels like being stuck. It's like, all right, well, I guess we're not moving.
I'm not there. Unless I can.
And I'm aware of like this feels like it's like, here's a way to be supported. It's not what I want, but okay. Like, does it make any sense? It's like, all right, I'm doing this thing, like, and it's not ideal or preferable, but it's like, this is the best I can come up with.
I'm willing to try something different, but I feel like I need to have my needs and my space respected.
How does that land, Joshua?
I don't even know what that means.
And the compelling need to be on the front of your block was what exactly?
Well, I don't know.
It just felt that way. It was just physical. Okay.
Yeah.
Purely physical.